What surprising group is getting together for marriage equality? In which country do you most definitely not want to be a closeted conservative politician this week? Also, predictions for the 2008 general election. Welcome to Flaming Politics, your independent look at the issues affecting the LGBT community. I'm Chaffee Grant. Once again, if I miss a week, the whole world changes. First off, Hillary didn't concede, and then she did concede in a very gracious speech. John McCain, after listening to ABBA's Take a Chance on Me, seriously, this week he told the Arizona Republic that he adores ABBA and listens to them before all their speeches. He makes a speech with all the vigor and creativity of a second-hour SNL skit. Meanwhile, Scott McClellan develops a conscience, and Congress releases a slew of reports that say that all the crazy, awful things we've thought about the Bush administration are, in fact, probably true. With all the changes happening, I thought it'd be a good time for me to sit down and play fortune teller. So, my top 5 predictions for the general election in a minute. But first, here are the stories you need to be talking about this week. Our first item comes from Northern Ireland, so here it is, as a limerick. There was a DUP First Minister named Robinson, whose wife called gay people an abomination. This group that's called Outrage said that to help turn a new page, all the gay men of Northern Ireland who've had sex with closeted members of the First Minister's party should come out and announce it because, quote, in circumstances where you are a member of a political party which openly espouses homophobia, then we think it is entirely justifiable that members of that party should be outed, unquote. Still working on that last line. House Representatives Tammy Baldwin and Barney Frank formed the LGBT Equality Caucus this week with an initial membership of 52 congresspeople. Responding to the question, why now? Congressman Frank said the answer is that before this Congress there wouldn't have been enough for us to do. Until this Congress, the role of those of us supportive of legal equality, the progress of sexual orientation, and gender identity was purely defensive, and you don't need a big caucus to say no. My question is, what took so long? Which leads to this week's action item. Is your representative a member of the LGBT Equality Caucus? Don't know? Here's the list. If you didn't see your representative's name in the list, email them and ask them why they haven't joined. And if you did see them in the list, email them and thank them for supporting LGBT equality. The easiest way to do this is at the website right there. It says www.house.gov/rightrep/. And now, for the big story. With the primary season at last behind us, it's time to look to the future. Because nothing's more fun than saying, this is what's going to happen next, and then being proven completely wrong. To do that, I'm going to give you my 5 top predictions for the general election. I want to hear yours as well, so put them in the comments. Yes, that's right, I'm wearing a towel on my head. You won't see this on Countdown. Suck it, old woman! Wait, I'm getting something. Prediction number 1 is that Obama will have a landslide. I know, I'm awfully biased, but I think all these predictions that it's going to be a close race are wildly off the mark. This year is going to be a perfect storm for Democrats. McCain isn't going to be able to shake the idea that he's third term for Bush, no matter how hard he tries. Add on top of that, I think they actually picked the wrong candidate. Had the Republicans known that Obama was going to be the nominee, they would have done better to pick Romney. I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, but Romney's younger. Also, he has managerial experience both as a CEO and a governor that neither Senator Obama or McCain has, and that's a big arguing point that's just lost for the Republicans. And on top of that, Romney's religious beliefs could actually be an asset with this sort of whole talk about changing the page and moving forward and being diverse. It's actually, I think, possibly a positive for him. Unfortunately for the GOP, McCain is shaping up to be a terrible candidate. No doubt he'll improve over time, but I don't see how he can win over the conservative base and also get these independent swing voters at the same time. In fact, every time he makes a play for one or the other, it seems he's actually losing voters on whichever side he's talking against, as opposed to bringing in new people. Put it this way, according to Rasmussen this week, the Texas race is McCain 50, Obama 41. Again, this is Texas. Prediction number 2 is that Obama's VP will be Hillary Clinton. This one makes me grit my teeth a little bit. My personal pick would be Jim Webb, or the governor of Montana, whose name escapes me because occasionally I ad-lib lines like this. I think there's a lot of narrative force pushing Hillary along, though. And her speech on Saturday was great. It was a really fantastic speech. And Hillary is a policy wonk. She really knows politics inside and out, and she knows the details. And the truth is the vice presidency changed a lot as a role because of Dick Cheney. And I think Hillary could be a very effective vice president. I think she could go to Congress and make the case for administration policies and efforts in a way that no other Democrat really could. A few caveats on this one, though, which is the first is Bill Clinton needs to stay in New York and be an independent entity. And I think that's actually something that would have to be not just a quiet thing, but rather a very tacit, explicit agreement beforehand. The second thing is that he would have to release all of his financial records from fundraising for his foundation. It's one of those things that there's no reason to have that brought into the general election, and it would be. And finally, her supporters need to stop talking about her being the vice president. It's the political equivalent of saying, "Are we there yet?" every 2 seconds on a road trip. My towel of prognostication is falling apart, so let's just go to number 3, which is that the gay marriage ban will fail in California. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Straight people may not want to give us marriage equality, but they sure as hell don't want to be responsible for taking it away from us. Add on top of that, I'll riot if they do. Number 4, there will be a fight at the Democratic Convention. And it'll involve snowballs. No, not that kind. The last time Denver hosted a convention was in 1908, that's 100 years ago. And one of the more notable parts of that convention was that the organizers shipped a whole bunch of snow down from the Rocky Mountains and brought it onto the convention floor, where all the conventioneers had a big, massive snowball fight. I predict this will happen again this year, probably right before a speech on global warming. My 5th and final prediction is that history will call this the first... My 5th and final prediction is that history will call this election the birth of 21st century American democracy. It's nice to have a moment to realize just what's happened in the last few months. Regardless of the winner of the presidential election, we're witnessing one of the biggest political shifts in American history. It's not just the Democratic nominee for president is a black man, though that is huge. Nor is it the fact that his closest rival was a woman, which is also huge. Nor is it the fact that the Republican nominee is, or at least was, a guy who spent most of his life trying not to be a Republican, which, if you happen to be a Republican, is kind of a big deal. One of the biggest and most damning failures of the Bush administration is that after 9/11 it asked nothing more of us than to go shopping and acquiesce. The average American, hell, anyone who's not within 5 feet of the vice president's office, has been left out in the cold these past 8 years. We've been, let's face it, more subjects than citizens. And along comes Obama and everyone else trying to catch up with him, who's run a campaign whose philosophy is there's a lot more to supporting a candidate than simply writing a check. And all over, we're seeing people getting involved, talking about the direction of the country, choosing skepticism over cynicism. That is, if you don't like the way your country is going, get involved, don't tune out. This transcends left or right ideology. From the outside looking in, it looks as if America, and I think in fact it is in America, blah, 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 it's not in the script, don't read it. And along comes Obama and everyone else trying to catch up right behind him, who's run a campaign with the philosophy of there's a lot more to supporting a candidate than simply writing a check. And all over, we're seeing people getting involved and talking about the future of this country, and choosing skepticism over cynicism. That is, saying, if you don't like the way things are going, get involved, don't tune out. This transcends left or right ideology. It's a fundamentally new way of looking at American democracy and how American politics is run. I'm Jaffe Grant, and this is Flaming Politics here on Logo.